Cincinnati, Ohio. Just outside the city, on a normal suburban street, in an ordinary neighborhood, is the home of Greg and Dana Newkirk. From the outside, their home is not much different from any other house on the block.
Get some fork action going on. Yeah.
But inside, it contains something quite extraordinary. Because there is a room in the basement that is filled with a collection of strange objects sent by people from all over the world that are believed to be cursed.
Greg and I lead normal lives, and we go about our life the same way that everyone else does. We just happen to be caretakers for very strange objects.
The way that we got started collecting cursed objects was complete accident. It wasn't something that we had set out to do. Never would have imagined myself doing this. We were just interested in general weirdness. My wife and I investigate all manner of high strangeness, and we were both very interested in the idea of cursed objects. We slowly gained a reputation as being particularly good people for this. And so anytime anyone had a problem with an artifact, they would come to us and say, I don't know what to do with this. This thing is affecting my life. Will you just take it off my hands? It'd be easier to just give it to you and let you deal with it. So we built up this collection of very bizarre things.
Visitors to the Newkirks' home are given ample warning that the basement is filled with objects that are cursed.
We have a lot of haunted robes.
But curiously, every day, the Newkirks receive requests from people who are eager to view their cursed collection.
You'd think with cursed objects you want to avoid them, but there is a draw to them. When an object is said to be cursed, another word you could use is special. It's special. If this chair is cursed, it's different from every other chair in the world. And that makes it unique, that makes it interesting, and that draws our attention every single time. And the fact that that specialness is that it hurts people, that appeals to a certain macabre streak that we all have as human beings.
People think of cursed objects as being kind of fun and spooky, but working with them, it feels a lot less about that and a lot more about that kind of heavy responsibility to keep some of these objects with us under lock and key and maybe out of the wrong hands. And maybe in a place that's safer not only for everyone else, but for them.
The Newkirks' collection includes several objects that are considered to have the power to inflict harm on anyone who comes near them.
This is the cursed deer skull. We drove down to Nashville to pick up from a woman who saw this in an antique store and took it back to her office, and almost immediately her employees started getting sick. One of her employees was hit by a car, and then the wall that this was hanging on actually fell down and took half of the building with it.
There are certain objects specifically in our museum that, without people knowing why they feel the way that they feel, they will definitely have heart palpitations, anxiety. We've had people almost faint. We've had people throw up. We've had people dry heave. People have very visceral physical reactions to being around some of the objects.
Among the cursed objects in the Newkirks collection is a deadly ring that is claimed to kill anyone who wears it. A Bible used during a failed exorcism, and a doll that is believed to spread illness wherever it goes. But of all the cursed objects the Newkirks have come across, there is one that is so harrowing, they refuse to keep it in their collection. It is an unsettling wooden effigy known as the crone.
The crone really is the definition of kind of a cursed object. It is a carved statue of a woman. Someone at some point in time took this object and attached the noose and the nails. It was given to us by some hikers who found it in the Catskills, off the beaten path in a cave. They took it home and initially started to experience really frightening things. Their animals were behaving strangely. They were finding wet footprints on the ground, and they didn't know what to do. Someone who we had worked with previously put them in contact with us. And after, having some communication with them, they sent the crone to us.
People who would get near the crone, they would be just overwhelmed with anxiety. This guy came all the way from Canada to come and see the crone. He begged us to take it out of the box. Almost immediately, his eyes roll up in the back of his head and he starts to bleed from his mouth. And he has a violent seizure and he has to be taken out by the paramedics. And that's when Dana and I looked at each other and we said, we have to do something about this.
It got to a point where the crone was just too dangerous for even us to take care of. And what we wanted to do was bring her back to the Catskills, which is where she's from.
To remove the crone's curse, the Newkirks' plan was to return to the area where it was originally found by two hikers many years before, at which point they would remove the nails embedded in the crone in a cleansing ritual.
We wanted to bring her back, and every time a nail was pulled out, the intention was that we were pulling that curse out of the object. We hiked into the woods for miles, and I set up a circle. The idea of setting up a circle was basically just to create an energetic space for containing this ritual. And the whole time we were doing this, we were hearing footsteps and strange sounds that weren't animals around our circle, but we couldn't see anything.
We were absolutely terrified, but we start performing the ritual. I pull the nails out. Soon as that happens, we feel this almost electric pop in the air.
When we were done, every coyote on the mountain just started howling. And the ritual was finished, and what we were looking at was just a block of wood. And we just kind of knew that we had done what we went there to do.